when it's in these fictional stories, but you're not enthralled with it when you find it in the New Testament. It turns out that the New Testament story really happened. It's the true myth.
All right, so tell me a little bit what you mean by C.S. Lewis's true myth, and explain that. And then after you explain it, what I know a lot of people who aren't Christians would rightly say, they'd say, wait a minute, you just said Harry Potter in this story was prophesied and predicted and did all these roles that match up with Christ, and it's fictional, so why don't you apply the same thing to Christianity?
Okay, yeah, good point. First of all, the true myth language comes from J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote the Lord of the Rings series. He and C.S. Lewis were friends. They were in a group called the Inklings, and they used to meet and discuss what they were writing. And at one point, Tolkien noticed that Lewis was enthralled with these dying and rising God myths. Now, these dying and rising God myths came after Christianity, but Lewis was enthralled with them. And at one point, Tolkien said, why are you enthralled with the dying and rising God myth when it's in these fictional stories, but you're not enthralled with it when you find it in the New Testament? It turns out that the New Testament story really happened. It's the true myth. And Lewis became convinced of this, and as you know, became probably the top apologist, other than your dad, in the 20th century, right? Because actually, my first apologetics was with your dad. It wasn't with C.S. Lewis. So I'm throwing that in there, okay? Awesome. That's how I came to faith, by reading Evidence Demands a Verdict and More Than a Carpenter. And I know you and your dad have updated both of those. So, but in any event, Lewis said, yes, it's the true myth. Christianity really happened. And the reason why I don't think Christianity is a myth is because there's evidence that it really happened. And Evidence Demands a Verdict points that out. Our book, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, points that out. And as I just mentioned, these dying and rising gods come after Christianity, not before.